It's my signal for a deep breath. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I'm Worship Associate Sandy Atkins, and I'm joined by Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer and a whole host of other people working to make this service possible. Our minister, Reverend Dana, I never read stuff. I usually just make it up while I'm talking, so you'll have to forgive me for losing my place. Reverend Dana Warsnap is out of the pulpit today. We are pleased to offer a service provided by one of the ministers in our Channel Islands cluster, the Reverend Nika Eaton Gwynn of the Chalice UU Fellowship of Thousand Oaks. She has chosen the theme, Opening to Joy. For despite whatever ills we face in the world or in our own lives, we still can and we must find, create, and spread joy. Our music director is also away today, leading our hymns and providing us with beautiful songs and music to uplift us is Teresa James. Yay. Yeah, there's already applause due. On behalf of Reverend Nika and all of us here in the sanctuary and back in the tech room to bring you this service, I welcome you, whether you are with us on site, joining us via Zoom or YouTube, whether you're a longtime member or joining us for the first time today, welcome. Okay, it says I look directly into the camera. Hello, everybody out there in cyberspace. Let me remind you that you can always find out what's going on in our congregation, including things like a men's potluck on August 30th and the new men's group starting August 11th. Pay attention, gentlemen, there's good stuff going on for you. You can do this by checking out the weekly email message, UUCV this week, coming early to the services to see them on the screen, and often they're on our Facebook page and our website. Now, I invite you to take a deep breath together as we open with gratitude to the joy of living in this area with its magnificent weather and natural beauty, and acknowledge the land we are on was taken from the Chumash people who cared for and preserved this land for millennia. May we too care for it lovingly so that it may bring joy for generations to come. Let us arrive fully together, for blessings are multiplied when we share them with each other, and our celebrations are more joyful when we are together. Let us enter sacred space.
Good morning. I'm Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer, and I really am happy to be with you all today. Joy, the theme of this service. We invite those of you at home who are Zooming and those on YouTube to light a candle or a chalice at home as Sandy lights the chalice of our free faith here in the sanctuary. Our opening words are from Carl Seberg and Reverend Scott Taylor. Let there be joy in our coming together this morning. Let there be truth heard in the words we speak and the songs we sing. Let there be help and healing for our disharmony and despair. Let there be silence for the voice within us and beyond us. Let there be joy in our coming together. For joy doesn't simply arise. It flies, it flings. No, it is flung. It is passed, it is spread between you and me, between the one who just received a gift and the one that has been looking for it for a long time. It is a beautiful and elegant contagion over which we have more control than we think, if we only share it. If we only notice that joy is not ours to keep, but ours to pass on. So let us light up the world, friends. Joy blesses us with its exuberance, so we can make that blessing grow. Come, let us worship together. You are able and join in singing our opening song, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts to the song. Open your hearts to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Dare rejoice and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Thank you, Teresa. Our opening words today said that joy is a beautiful and elegant contagion over which we have more control than we think, if only we share it. When I heard those words, chosen by Reverend Nika, I was reminded of a story I read recently on the National Public Radio website, thanks here to its author, Alison Joyce. She tells a story about Rohingya children whose families, like hundreds of thousands of other members of this Sunni Muslim group, fled ethnic cleansing in their native Myanmar. They now live in, we'll see it on the screen in just a second, there it is. They now live in this refugee camp in Bangladesh. These children and their parents have every reason to view their world with despair and rage. But this is a story of resilience, even in dark times. Living in this camp as they do, they have no store-bought toys or video games, but they do have kites. In the late afternoon, when a steady wind blows over the hills of the camp, they race to a ridge at the top of the settlement to fly homemade kites. Some of the kites are little more than a plastic bag flapping on a string, but some are more sophisticated with long tails and frilly tassels. The author, Alison, reported hearing 7-year-old Mohammed Arfat say gleefully as he reeled out string to a silvery kite 30 or 40 feet above him, "This is a new kite, and I'm very happy with it." When asked where he got his fancy new kite, Arfat replied, that, well, there's this guy who makes them and gives them away. The guy turned out to be a 10-year-old named Kamal. It's easy to make kites, says Kamal, but I need to find the materials, and it takes a bit of time. Kamal uses leftovers from the shelters people build and bits of trash he finds to make the kites. Here, in this simple shelter, which we'll see in just a sec, Kamal shares with his parents. He splits bamboo into thin strips with a machete and uses the bamboo as a frame. Then he stretches plastic sheeting over it, tying it with string to the bamboo. After he's made the diamond-shaped body of the kite, he cuts a plastic grocery bag into strips and teases the ends into frilly tassels. I bet you all remember, I hope, maybe making kites when you were his age at 10. I know I remember doing that, unlike my grandkids who buy them. He attaches these to the kite to make the tail and what he calls arms, strips of plastic that dangle from each side of the kite and flap wildly when it's flying in the air. His mother says Kamal taught himself to make kites back in Myanmar about 3 years ago, and that his kites have gotten more and more sophisticated as he's gotten older. The family was forced to flee, she says, after an attack by the military on a Rohingya village. When we heard that soldiers were coming toward our village, she says, everyone hid in the forest. When we emerged, the soldiers had burned down our houses. That's when we decided to come here, to Bangladesh. Kamal is a good student, and she thinks maybe he could be a teacher when he grows up. But he says he'd rather be a shopkeeper. For now, he's the kite guy. Once he finishes making his kite, he takes it out for a test flight. The opaque plastic shimmers in the sky. Its tail darts from side to side. Kamal beams up at his homemade kite. For a moment, it's the brightest object in the camp. Kamal starts to run up a path that cuts between the shelters. His kite rises up behind him. It flits through the air like a fish fighting its way upstream. Kamal makes 4 or 5 kites a week and gives them away to younger kids. These kites are the joy Kamal makes and spreads to the other children in the camp. I like this story about Kamal, the kite boy, because it reminds me that we can find joy even amidst the dust, divisiveness, and disasters of this world. He's a bit of a role model, really. Kamal, his family and friends have lost so much, and yet he has found a way to bring himself joy, to share it, and to watch it shine. And he and his mother are focused on building a better future, too, one in which he's a teacher or a shopkeeper. It's easy to despair when faced with the awful news that comes at us from lands far and near, seemingly on a daily basis. Kamal's story reminds me to look up and watch the birds feed or feel the sun on my face, so that I'll have the resilience to rise up and do something about it all and help build a future where there's better news.
One way our congregation spreads joy and also does something to address the injustices in the world is by giving away 100% of our offering every week. This is a distinction that we're very proud of. We give it to an organization in the larger community or sometimes to our own service projects within the church that help our own people. Those of you at home have 2 ways to give. There's a link posted in the chat or using the text to give number 844-901-1779, which is now shown on the screen. And those of you in the sanctuary can use the same number. But you can also write a check or get out some cash and drop it in the basket in the back of the sanctuary, probably when you're leaving. Or you can get up while the music, we've got a video though, so you might want to watch the video and drop it in the basket a little later. Our offering today goes to Heart to provide physical, financial, and emotional support to family members who suddenly find themselves without warning or preparation caring for a grandchild, a niece or nephew, or a younger sibling. We heard about Kamal, and I just wanted to give a lot of money to their village. But these are refugees also, and they're cared for by people who are motivated by their love of their family members, but finding themselves ill-prepared to take care of someone. Here's an example of the help they provide. It's about a grandmother whose children had been dropped off over the weekend for a visit, and Dad just didn't come back for them. Despite the fact that this grandmother was in the middle of having radiation treatments for cancer, had a car that had broken down, had little food in the house, and the children came with nothing more than they had on, she had to find a way to care for them. She contacted Heart to Heart, and their volunteers set to work getting food in the house, providing her with a gift card for clothing, got her a peer support mentor, a woman who had something similar happen to her, and she found ways to help the children thrive. Thanks to Heart, families get much needed items and both financial and emotional support when situations like this arise. Thank you for giving generously, as you always do, to make this world a better place. And now we have a beautiful video, This Joy That I Have.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this strength that I have, this strength that I have, this strength that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. Oh, this love that I have. This love that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have. Oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This love that I have, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. Singing, the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. This pride that I have, this pride that I have. This pride that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This pride that I have, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. All this peace that I have. Oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give me my peace. This peace that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. Won't you sing about peace? This peace that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this joy that I have, this joy that I have. This joy that I have. Oh, yeah, now, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, and the world take it away.
The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away.
The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
Resist.
Beautiful. So in line with the theme. The generosity of this congregation is such a welcome source of joy, weaving far and wide a beautiful community of love and support.
It's important to acknowledge that the rich tapestry of our lives is woven of both joys and sorrows, and that sharing these with one another can both lessen the pain and multiply the joy. We place a stone in water as part of our sharing to symbolize the way that an experience that affects one of us travels throughout this congregation to touch the heart of us all. You can submit a joy or sorrow via a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in the Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. I invite you now to speak into this gathered community the names of those who would benefit from the embrace of this loving community, or to write in the chat if you are doing this at Zoom at home. Sandy will now place a stone in water for all the joys and sorrows yet unshared from the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life. And please remain seated and join Teresa in singing our meditative hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River.
Now sing with me. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul.
Thank you again, Teresa. I invite you to join me in a time of guided meditation. Let yourself sit quietly and at ease. Allow your body to be relaxed and calm, your breath natural, your heart open. Let yourself call to mind with gratitude and joy all that has supported you in your life, the generations of elders and ancestors who came before you, the blessings of the earth, the measure of health you've been given, your family, friends, and community, the lessons you've received, this current moment. Bring to mind someone you care about, someone it is easy to rejoice for. Picture them and feel the natural joy you take in their well-being, happiness, and success. With each breath, offer them grateful, heartfelt success, wishes for health and happiness, and feel joy of their blessings flow through you. A silent meditation. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we all know and spread joy. May it be so.
The midnight skies, all stars in black, like darkened glass and glitter, suggest that I go back inside, wait for warmer weather. So it's that time again where everything keeps changing. I raise my glass and toast the ones in charge of rearranging. All of the world is designed to remind you all of the light you can find is inside under all of the noise. What's it like to be overjoyed? In spite of daytime planners, higher standards, dreams defended, there's not a single thing that's turned out quite like I intended. So you learn that holding on is nothing less than panic. When big things fall apart, the heart gets that much more gigantic. All of the world is designed to remind you all of the light you can find is inside all of the noise. Don't be scared to be overjoyed. just who'd get there the fastest. But it's a gorgeous night, it's only right to consecrate gladness. All of the world is designed to remind you all of the light you can find is inside. Under all of the noise, here's your chance to be overjoyed. Don't be scared to be overjoyed.
Our homily today comes to us on video from the Reverend Nika Eaton Gwynn, who has been minister at Chalice Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Thousand Oaks since 2016. She grew up in Germany and England and came to the US to attend Princeton and later Starr King School for the Ministry up in Berkeley. In her rich professional capacity, in her rich professional journey, Reverend Nika has worked as an actor and a singer, a manager of classical musicians, a creative arts therapist, a life coach, a hospice chaplain, and an entrepreneur. She and her husband, Michael, have lived on the Central Coast since 2001 and have a son in high school. I thought she was 100 with all that stuff. I think you'll be glad you came to church today to hear Reverend Nika's thoughts about opening to joy.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
Good morning, congregations of our Central Coast UU cluster. My name is Reverend Nika Eaton Gwynn, and I serve as minister of Chalice Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Conejo Valley. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is such an honor to be with you here today. Joseph Campbell said, "We cannot cure the world of sorrows, but we can choose to live in joy." Now, there's no doubt these are difficult times filled with fear, with sorrow and challenge, and many are fatigued from the never-ending pandemic. We're weary of wars around the world, of oppression and racial injustice. And then there's the fear of losing our health and well-being, fear of our beautiful planet succumbing to ever more extreme climate events, and fear of one another as we become increasingly divided, antagonistic, and violent. And our fears are not just imaginary. We see it everywhere if we follow the news and hear what's happening around the world. But there is a balm, I believe, a secret remedy that people don't talk about much, a medicine that your doctor won't prescribe. It doesn't appear on the news or in adverts. And though this medicine doesn't cure the world's ills, it counterbalances adversity. It brings a sweetness, a sparkle to life, and it's free to all. But it's easy to miss. It can be hidden in the mundane or the ordinary. And if we go looking for it, we might find it sparkling like a diamond in a haystack. So what if recognizing diamonds was enough to make them yours and you saw them now everywhere, asks writer Ingrid Goff Madoff. On the sunlit ocean, in the moonless sky, on winter fields and the tips of branches after the rain, in smiling faces, the brook, the lake, the stream, the kitchen stove, stairs, puddles, ice, clouds. Anywhere life glimmers and light glints. Kisses, belly laughs, bubbly, wine, decay, and crumbs. Flights of fancy, feathers, teeth, words, breath. Diamonds, diamonds, all diamonds. Would you see then in truth the very richness that you are? Gough Madoff reminds us this remedy is anywhere life glimmers and light glints. It appears in twinkling stars and pet licks. It comes as unexpected explosions of the heart, as tingles of aliveness, as laughter, in song and in delight. It can be found hidden even in the darkest corners of life, if only we look for it, if only we open ourselves to see its scintillating presence and experience its healing balm. It is joy. Joy sparkles like diamonds everywhere if we can catch its light. Now, joy is hidden throughout Mary Oliver's poems as well. And of course, many jokingly say that her writings are like Unitarian Universalist scripture. So I had to share her poem, Mindful, with you. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. Oliver invites us to look in the ordinary, to become mindful that tucked away in our everyday are exquisite flickers of joy and delight. But so often we're oriented towards pain and difficulty, naturally, because that's how we learn to survive. But as we know, what we focus on grows, and if we only turn our attention to the difficult, we may miss Mary Oliver's untrimmable light of the world. So I gave myself an assignment of opening to joy each day, of looking purposefully for what brings joy, of seeking that hidden remedy. And I have to say, I felt happier and more contented than I have in a long time. Now, not that I'm turning my back on all the hardships of life and all the work that needs to be done, not at all. But I've purposefully gone looking for that which brings laughter and light, that which soothes the weary spirit, that which amazes and cajoles, to balance out the seesaw of life. And it's everywhere, I found. It's hidden in our everyday as long as we remember to look for it. But how do we remember to look for joy during difficult times? Personally, I learned from people who've suffered tremendously, who nevertheless seem to be able to find huge reserves of joy. Look at the incredible music, songs, and dances that are part of the African American culture that celebrate life. Look at the melodious and rhythmic music to come out of Jewish culture. Look at the humor that is born from darkest times. Opening to joy has been a way of coping, of counterbalancing the painful struggle that many oppressed populations have dealt with for centuries. Opening to joy is medicine to our troubled times. Opening to joy gives us the strength and courage to carry on. It's like a vitamin B infusion for our spirits. My friends, joy is also our birthright. You can see it in babies' smiles and giggles, in their gurgling and delight. It's natural for us to feel joy, but as we get older, the weight of life can squash our ability to feel joy. Responsibilities and trials of life can drain our energy, and we cease seeking the diamonds. We stop knowing they are there. Joy can seem elusive and hard to pin down. It can be muted by grief, by illness, by loss and pain. Yet the poet William Blake reminds us, joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. It is right, it should be so. We were made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. So what if our ticket to a joyful life is to allow ourselves to feel both joy and woe? To not suppress either our grief or our joy, but to feel our feelings deeply. Both joy and woe open our hearts to what it means to be human and taste life fully. And Blake assures us that together these make a clothing for the soul divine. Now, if you're looking for a sure source of joy, look to poetry. Joy is sprinkled liberally throughout poetry. It's the poet's gift to find enchantment in the ordinary, to remake familiar words into silken twine. Also to music, as it sweeps us away in transcendent rhythms and harmonies. Look to art, as its colors and textures absorb us. Joy is in us, ready to hitch a ride in the next poem or dance or song, sunset or piece of art we come across. But it's also around us in every moment if we just remember to look. Imagine if you woke up today to find this is your last day on earth. How would you want to live it? What would strike you with delight? What would you want to remember? I know I'd get up with the sunrise to watch the pink hues in the clouds as the sun gradually inches its way above the horizon. I'd listen to each sound, each bird calling in the day like it was the finest music. Each breath would be a conscious inhale, breathing in the rarefied air of life. And I'd kiss the ground with gratitude for holding and nourishing me. I would embrace each tree with appreciation for its strength, resilience, and dignity. I would tell those in my life I love them and be sure to hug a lot. I would dance and move my body, feeling the miracle of incarnation. I would listen to sublime music, all my favorite pieces in the world, and laugh and cry with delight while singing at the top of my lungs. I would savor every morsel of food and treat my taste buds to a smorgasbord of flavors. I would cuddle and play with my dog as much as possible. I'd call friends and family and thank them for their part in my life. And when the day comes to an end, I would linger watching the spectacular sun that warms our planet disappear gradually beyond the horizon until there were no more magenta traces in the sky and the crickets had stopped singing. And then I'd snuggle up in front of a roaring fire with my beloveds and give thanks. What would you do with one day left to live? Whatever you would do is your roadmap to joy. I recently heard about a man nicknamed Slow-Mo who lives in Venice Beach. Slow-Mo, whose real name is Dr. John Kitchen, was a successful doctor making good money so he could afford the large house, the latest cars, and all the fine things in life. He climbed the ladder of success, he got married and had a child, and he had achieved all that society told him should make him happy. But he wasn't happy. He was tired and stressed. His marriage collapsed. And though he was surrounded by all the trappings of material wealth, he actually felt empty inside. Until one day, he met a 93-year-old man in a cafeteria line who told him that the secret of life was do what you want to do. And so Dr. John went rollerblading along the boardwalk on Venice Beach. And as he skated and felt the wind on his face, he began to feel a sense of freedom and delight that no material wealth or success had brought him. So he did something quite radical. He quit his job. He sold most of his belongings. He moved into a tiny studio apartment near Venice Beach, and he began to skate every day, sometimes for 12 hours straight. And as he skates, he raises one leg behind him and he leans forward with his arms outstretched, almost flying like a superhero through the air. And that position and the continuous motion apparently stimulate the vestibular system to create peace and joy. Slow-mo has found his ticket to joy, and he says he wants to get to the end of his life without being a jerk again. And he's renowned in Venice Beach as a magical man who beams from ear to ear every day, someone who's apparently found the secret to a joyful life. But if you can't quit your job and roller skate every day, what are other ways of opening to joy? As I reflected on this, I uncovered what I think are 6 pathways to joy, on-ramps or practices that can help you get in contact with joy most quickly. The first pathway is embodiment. We are each incarnated into a body. Feel your aliveness in your body, no matter the degree of your mobility or whether you're dealing with pain and discomfort. If you are here on this earth, you are embodied. And it's a gift to be embodied. Notice the wonder of having a body that allows us to feel, taste, smell, touch, see, and hear what is around us. A body that carries our spirits around for this short time on earth. From the moment we're born to the moment we die, we have physical form on this planet and can tangibly explore and express ourselves. Whether we explore our embodiments through exercise or yoga, dancing, movement of any kind, eating, jumping from planes, even hang gliding, massage, or making love, we can find joy in this embodiment. I invite you to look for the joy, the aliveness in your physical incarnation. What are some of the joy-giving things that you like to do in physical form? Now, the second on-ramp to joy is found in presence. Anything that can bring you into the present moment. Awareness of the gift of this life, the here and now. Whether it's through conscious breathing, meditation, mindfulness practices, journaling, creating art or a gratitude practice, whatever requires your focus and attention on the now. That feeling of flow when there's no past and future, there's only right now. It's probably why Slow-mo feels such joy, is he's completely present while he skates. So how do you most easily experience the present moment? The next pathway to joy is through creativity, expressing yourself through words or art or movement, through your voice or music, your hands kneading clay or knitting, or however you best express yourself. Creative expression can take you straight to joy, as can relishing the creativity of others, as we witnessed in the beautiful poems I shared today. I invite you to think about how you access your creativity. Then there's nature. an important pathway to awakening joy, the vast, pure beauty of nature in which we humans are dwarfed but can stand in awe. Gratitude and wonder for our beautiful planet and the myriad way our earth supports, holds, and nourishes us lead to joy. Try forest bathing or swimming in our cold ocean. Dig your feet into the sand, climb a mountain or ski down it to take in the joy-giving power of nature. How do you like to connect with nature? Of course, for any of you who've done things for others, you know the profound joy experienced in service, our next pathway. Doing something kind for someone else, helping in any way that makes a difference for another, brings gladness and a greater sense of purpose. Being on purpose in life brings joy. In fact, according to research by Maurice Okun and colleagues, volunteering reduces the risk of death by 24%. Do I hear you all signing up for your congregation's volunteering opportunities? 24%. So how do you share your joy with the world through service? And finally, my friends, love. I don't need to explain this one. When you love or feel loved, it fills your heart with joy. The world looks brighter and more alive. The love of family, the love of friends, of community, of lovers, as well as spiritual love, love for yourself or from your pet. Any kind of love opens your heart to joy. Indeed, anything that opens your heart gives you greater access to joy. So what practices do you do to open your heart to love? My friends, I invite you to experiment with these on-ramps to joy every day. They're at our fingertips always. Embodiment, presence, creativity, nature, service, and love. You may wish to drive up at least one of these on-ramps each day, maybe even more than one. Look for them. They will lead you on the road to joy no matter what's going on in your life. And remember, joy isn't just an emotion, a feeling that arises with certain experiences or stimuli. Joy can be felt as an energy, a tingling, a buzzing like an electric current in our cells. And this energy is contagious. In fact, recently, our small group facilitators were sharing their own understandings of joy. And the longer the meeting went on, the more palpable joy became in our midst. As we started to tap into the experience of joy, the energy shifted in the room as more and more of us began to feel that enlivening in our beings. And by the end of our meeting, we all seemed to have been infected by joy. So focusing on joy, turning our attention to how joy manifests in our lives, experiencing joy in ourselves, seems to spread joy to others. Now that's worth cultivating, isn't it? Just as unhappiness can spread, so can joy. So let's create a contagion of joy. Someone around you might need it. In fact, the world needs it. One of the most satisfying things we can do in this world is be transmitters of joy. I'm reminded of the song, "This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away." Opening to joy is something we all can choose. It's available to us no matter how hard our lives are. Indeed, I would say it's vital for us to open to joy, especially when we're going through hard times, to counterbalance the difficulties. Remember babies, how they laugh and cry, sometimes in the same breath. If we allow ourselves as adults, we too can access both. So my prayer for our resilience during these challenging times is we seek every opportunity we can to open to joy. That amidst our ordinary days and struggles, we look for the hidden diamonds, that we spread joy, by reminding ourselves and those around us to look for the magic, look for the twinkling stars, look for the delight in our lives, and share that. Let's heal our world by creating a contagion of joy. May it be so. Thank you.
In singing our closing hymn, we give thanks. May you feel the joy.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. We're gathered here, and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalices, both here in the sanctuary and at home. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we carry into our lives until we are together again. After the benediction and postlude, those of you joining us via Zoom will be invited into a chat room. Maybe you'll gather and talk about spreading that contagion of joy. And you here in the sanctuary are invited outside the back door to celebrate with cupcakes Kathy Swift's 75th birthday, along with Ruth Capel and Sharon Kufeld's birthdays as well, and just celebrate life out there. Coffee is available, tea, whatever. And I remind you that if you have a donation for Heart to Heart, the basket is there. You can drop something in at the end. So I leave you with these words from Mary Oliver's poem, The Summer's Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? The grasshopper. I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms thoroughly, washes her face. Now she snaps her wing open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is your plan to do with your one wild and precious life? My friends, may we open ourselves to joy, however, wherever, and whenever we can. Go forth in love, go forth in peace, and go forth in joy and spread it. May it be so.